A very good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're from. I welcome you all back to session 13 of day 7 on teaching and learning English, employing social media platforms of the 7-day online international faculty development program on language and literature, a pragmatic approach. I welcome our principal, Dr. Saravanan R., also the patron of the program, Dr. Shakila Matthew, Dean of Academics and Head Department of English and the convener of the program, Mr. Logesh Kumar S., Administrative Officer, members of Faculty of English of VET Institute of Arts and Science, and the teaching fraternity of English language and literature from around the world to the session. I take much pride in welcoming Professor Justin James. A great teacher is one who leads students out to new places where even the educator has never been. Today's resource person, Professor Justin James, has been creating autonomous and self-directed learners and leading them to newer places in the academic arena. Professor Justin James is the e-learning coordinator and ELT consultant in English Language Center, Nizwa College of Technology, Sultanate of Oman. He completed his bachelor's, master's, and MPhil at St. Joseph College, Trichy between 1983 and 1990. He is also an efficient educational professional with a commission from Officers Training Academy, County, Ministry of Defense, Government of India. He's a certified TESOL instructor from American TESOL Institute and has received a Trinity certificate in teaching languages through information and communication technology. He is also a teacher trainer specialized in training EFL, ESL teachers in teaching English using technology. He began his career with St. Joseph College, Trichy in 1990 as an assistant professor of English. His scholastic insight and administrative acumen have made him hold various coveted positions such as with Little Scholars Public School in Telangana for 3 years and with Ujjwala CBSE Residential School in Andhra Pradesh as its principal for the next 3 years until 1997. Later, he joined Pondicherry University in 1997 as a lecturer and worked there for 7 years. He's currently working with Nizwa College of Technology in Sultanate of Oman, where he joined in the year 2005. Throughout his trailblazing career of 25 years, he has presented and published multiple research papers in national and international conferences and journals. He has attended ELT conferences and given invited talks at Sultan Qaboos University, RELC Singapore, National University of Singapore, and Dofu University. His tech-savvy educator's unwavering vision to use technology and communication infrastructure to bring education and learning to the world as one has made him embark on his doctoral research. Sir, I request you to enrich us with your session on teaching and learning English by employing social media platforms.
Good morning, all. Thank you, Ms. Kavya, for the very generous introduction. I wish I live up to the introduction given by you through my presentation. And this is the topic of my presentation today, teaching and learning English employing social media platforms. At the outset, I would like to welcome all the participants, and I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Management Committee of Vellalar Educational Trust, Dr. R. Saravanan, Principal of this institution, Dr. Sakila Matthew, Dean Academics and Head of the Department of English, two moderators of the program, Ms. Kavya and Ms. Sarika, the technical team behind the FDP, and all the participants from different countries, and my colleagues from Niswa College of Technology and other technical colleges in Muscat. So it is indeed a great pleasure and happiness and quite a challenge to talk to learned professors from different parts of the country as well as from other countries. So a faculty development program is to share the best practices of our professional experience with our fellow colleagues. With this aim, I would like to share some of my personal experiences and best practices I have successfully used in my teaching job. Now, let me give you an overview of the program. I'm going to talk about two things. One is social media and pragmatics. What is pragmatics of English language and literature? What is social media? What is the connection between language pragmatics and social media? Why is it important to analyze social media messages and stories? Can social media stories help develop communicative competence and English for all purpose? So these are the mainstay of my presentation today. And especially the last one, English for all purpose, is something which I advocate. So there are a lot of cry going on towards ESP. Of course, ESP is very important from the professional angle, but when language communicative competence is concerned, one should learn a language to deal with any situation in any part of the world at any given time. So therefore, it is important for our students to learn a language that can be used for all purpose. So with this, let me start my presentation. So as usual in an ELT English language teaching classroom, we start our lessons with a context setting. Before that, I would like the participants to interact with me. So kindly don't write anything other than that is required. Now, in order to set the context, this is social media. This is one of my recent social media postings. I want you to look at this picture and just jot down the words in the chat box that comes to your mind, immediately. You can have a minute time, look at the picture. Yeah, nature lover, dates tree, refreshing, photogenic. Are you talking about me or the dates tree? Green dates tree. You are on the farm having a relaxing day. Actually, this is taken just behind my department in my college. The last working day I went there to capture this dates trees, but one of my colleagues who came with me suggested that he takes a picture of mine, and I accepted, and he took this one of the best pictures I ever had. Optimistic look, okay. Enjoying leisure. You are like dates tree, very productive. Oh, very kind of you. Nature in full bloom. Happy life, right? Becoming humble with the age. Dates tree implies destination. Okay, now I'm extending this to, I'm going to give you some questions. You can give your sincere observations and understanding about or reply for this question here. The question is, why do you think I post this picture on social platforms? On the left, you can see this picture was posted in my Instagram page. Why do you think? What is the purpose? Is it to show off that I am working in a foreign country, and or is it to share my happiness with others, share experience? Socio-constructivism in language learning. Do I have a purpose behind this by sharing in a social platform? Social media platforms act as an interactive platform to let your loved ones know about you. Correct. That is one of the purpose. That's correct. People are social beings. So this is a very important point. Thank you for saying that. To say man is nothing without nature. Okay, it's a very good interpretation. I didn't think of that when I posted this. I thought of, I started thinking and contemplating on all these possibilities only after I decided to post this picture today as a context setting picture. Yeah, to make it part of today's session. No, this was posted long back. Anyhow, so whatever answers you have given, it has got direct connection. Thank you for your open response without any reservations. I would like you to respond to my questions or my request without any hesitation and reservation, because we are going to have a kind of language activity that will enhance our communicative competence. Right. Now, why I posted this? Because social media is about myself, my environment, and my happiness, and my relationship with people. That is one very important thing. I cannot detach myself from social media. It is an important part of my social life as well as my personal life. So it is not only social life, it is also part of my personal life. So whenever I use social media, I have this question in my mind. Do you want to be happy? Do you want to be beautiful? Do you want to be healthy? Do you want to have a healthy environment around you so that you can have healthy relationship in the society, relationship with your people and friends? So this is one reason why I posted it. It is very important. Social media is very important, and my communication with social media is part of me. So I think this is normally true with all of us. If we take social media very seriously and think that social media can help us enhance our happiness, enhance our relationships. Now I'm moving to the main presentation. Have you ever come across this book World Brain, H.G. Wells. Are there anyone among the audience who have read this book or at least seen this book? Okay. Yeah, no, yes, sir. Dr. Michelle Philip. Okay, that's good. So this book is a very important book which noted a change in the world. So this book talks about having a collective brain for the survival of the world. So I'm going to quote something from Wells' speech at the World Congress of Universal Documentation. And whatever quotations, I'll read it once. I'm not going to, spend much time on that because we need a lot of time for the practical part of the presentation. Neither religion nor socialism can solve the world problem. The solution is a modernized world knowledge apparatus, the world encyclopedia, a sort of mental clearinghouse for the mind, a depot where knowledge and ideas are received, sorted, summarized, digested, clarified, and compared. So we have come across many encyclopedias, which gives us a lot of information, isn't it? Can you mention some of the names of the encyclopedias you have come across or you have referred in your teaching? Can some of the audience say, at least pronounce the names of some of the encyclopedias you have used so far? Yeah, Encyclopedia Britannica, Oxford, right. M.H. Abrahams, Britannica Americana, okay. Right, these are all different encyclopedias. What is the purpose behind it? The purpose behind is to summarize, synthesize, and give the knowledge in a digestive form so that people from any part of the world can refer to it and use it for their teaching or for their living. So how does it work? Wells is speaking of a process of mental organization throughout the world, which is as inevitable as anything can be in human affairs. The world has to pull its mind together, and this is the beginning of its effort. The world is a phoenix. It perishes in flames, and even as it dies, it is born again. This synthesis of knowledge is the necessary beginning to the new world. Now, in case the world perishes, something happens to the world, like it happened during the Ice Age. Some organisms survived, and they could recreate the world. Now, this is what he is trying to tell us. That is, knowledge is important. If the knowledge is preserved, it is easy to recreate the world, even if there are very big calamities. Now, I can give you an example. Today, Google is one example where knowledge is preserved. All the knowledge that is collected is saved in a cloud. The rockets and other space stations stationed outside the world in the space. So that means if something happens to the world, part of the world is destroyed, recovering the knowledge is very easy. There is another example, maybe some of you know about it, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. It is in Norway, Arctic region by Carrie Fowler. The seeds of all the plants and trees of the world are collected and preserved under the ice, minus 150 degrees Celsius. This is the, it need to be very cold in order to preserve these seeds. Why do they do it? They do it in order to preserve the nature in case there are some problems in the world, some part of the world is destroyed by fire or any natural calamity or man-made calamities like using a nuclear bomb. So these seeds can be used in order to recreate nature. The language of the World Encyclopedia would be English because of its greater range, precision, and subtlety. So this is also, he told, language of, this is something to do with the far-reaching effect of the English language. He's not trying to say that English is the best in the world or something like that, but English has the ability to reach far and wide. That's the reason why he claims that. Intellectual workers across the world would be increasingly bound together through their participation. So people will contribute the knowledge. Today, for example, in Google, whatever is given there, the knowledge is collected, and indirectly or directly, sometimes we become the contributor of that knowledge that is being preserved by Google. Then he's making another another statement saying that wise world citizens would ensure world peace. So this is another claim he's making. How far it is true, it is a debatable thing. But his ideas are what he is trying to portray is that when people become wise, knowledgeable, educated, the world will be a better place. The language of, okay. Now have a look at this. What he was suggesting is the global brain with the diverse minds and all the theoretical mechanisms about the brain activity and life, all things put together. Gaia theory is how organisms, natural organisms, living organisms interact with non-living organisms. Singularity theory is a mathematical theory. Artificial intelligence. Superorganism is organisms that interact with themselves in a very systematic, symmetric way, especially honeybees. Unlike human beings. Human beings don't synchronize because each one will think about himself, or he will be guided by his own thoughts. So all these things, and memetics, collective intelligence, all these things put together is a global brain. The diverse minds making a sense, a common, platform where knowledge is preserved. That is what is internet today. So what maybe he wasn't aware that there is going to be a day where people can access knowledge with a device they have on their palm. So we see how the internet helps promote what are called alternative counter-public spheres that can offer a new empowering sense of what it means to be a citizen. So through internet and social media, people get a lot of power. And before social media, you are powerless because you don't have access to tell you a story or tell your problems through a newspaper or a television, because that is restricted to a particular society or particular strata of the society. Whereas social media has given freedom for each and every one of us, as well as a sense of power. People get empowered by using social media. Now let us see what is social media. Social media is a series of websites and applications designed to allow people to share content quickly, efficiently, and in real time. Social media are computer-mediated technologies that facilitate the creation and sharing of information, ideas, career interests, and other forms of expression via virtual communities and networks. So this, we are going to see how it is working. Now look at this. I downloaded some 3 years before for a presentation. This is a social media infogram. It may be, it gives more or less all the different social media platforms. It is listed there in the form of an infogram. But if you create an infogram today, it may be much, much larger because hundreds and thousands of applications are included in the social media network each day. Now, the art of listening, learning, and sharing. These are all, sharing platforms. This also, I think I downloaded in 2017 for another presentation. So blog, micromedia, black platform, social bookmarks, so wiki, music, events, documents. These are all different platforms which helps us to listen, learn, and share. So we not only listen, we learn from it, but at the same time, whatever we have, we get an opportunity to share with others. Look at this picture. So more or less, I think my brain looks like this at present, with a lot of ideas, a lot of information, a lot of social media contacts, and things like that. So a mind crowded, a head crowded with so many influences and contacts. Now what has happened, just if you, this is a 2019 data. What happens in the world of social media in 60 seconds, 1 minute? So Facebook, 1 million logging in. WhatsApp 18 point, WhatsApp is 41.4 million. That's the highest. And also all these, millions of people in 1 minute use these platforms for various purposes, maybe something for personal, something for official, whatever it may be. So people use it like this. So this is the kind of data we have now. That means people are using social media platforms continuously. Now look at this, how a language teacher can use one infogram in order to teach vocabulary. This can be used as for using upscaling vocabulary or to enhance, elevate one's own vocabulary. In the center, you see words like mad, scared, joyful, powerful, peaceful, sad. And in the next circle, synonym to all these things. And another circle, you find a kind of related word. So these kind of things can help us enhance vocabulary of our students if it is properly utilized and exploited in a classroom situation. Now I am coming to the second part, second idea which I am going to discuss. One is social media. The next one is pragmatics of language and literature. So it is very important because social media is a part of society. So socio-pragmatics theories are to be applied in understanding social media usage by people. Now, what is the meaning for the word pragmatic? It is an adjective. So there's a lot of difference between pragmatics and pragmatic. Pragmatics is a noun, whereas pragmatic is an adjective. The title of the FTP is Pragmatic Approaches to Language and Literature. That is, using language and teaching English and literature using a useful way, practical, down-to-earth way in order to help the people, our students. But pragmatics is totally different. Look at this. Pragmatics is a branch of linguistics theory, so which talks about semantics, text organization, persuasion, and how the language is used in context, in a social context. What is pragmatics? Pragmatics is a subfield of linguistics and semiotics that studies how context contributes to the meaning. So social context. Pragmatics encompasses speech act theory, conversational implicature, talk in interaction, and other approaches to language behavior in philosophy, sociology, linguistics, and anthropology. So these are all connected. Society is connected to language. Language is connected to anthropology because language originated. When you go back and study anthropology, you understand how a language came into existence and how it developed in the society. It is a study of the use of language in a social context, the aspect of language use that relates to everyday social practices. So the term socio-pragmatics was coined by Leach to describe the ways in which pragmatic meanings reflect specific local conditions on language use. If you look at India, if you travel within a state, every 50 kilometers you find a different dialect. So local conditions and culture influence the language. Similarly, the language they use also influence their culture. It talks about how communication of pragmatic meaning involves speakers' presentation of their socially sanctioned identity. So each of us in the society have identity. We have identity. If I take me as an example, I have an identity as a father, mother, son, father, son, and also a husband, a teacher. And in society, I have various relationships as a friend, as a benefactor, or as somebody receives benefit from others, and as a participant and of social practices, my political participation. All these things are very important. What is socio-pragmatics of language? Language is not merely a means of communicating information, ideas, or thoughts to other people. So it is not, it is part of it. It is also a very important means of establishing and maintaining relationship with other people. So through language, through language, we establish relationship. So relationship can be established or broken. Rules can be followed or flouted. All these things can happen through language. If you can influence people through your talk, you can establish long-standing relationship. If you hurt people with your language, relationship can be broken. So there are many studies of languages in relation to the society explaining how speakers are polite to one another in what they say and do, and how they try to mitigate impolite behavior linguistically in order to uphold social solidarity and social bond. So this is also very important, solidarity. So especially for Indians, we are a people from solidarity-oriented society. There are two kinds of people in the world, two kinds of culture. One is solidarity-oriented culture. Another one is formality-oriented culture, which I will be discussing in a couple of next slides. What is solidarity-oriented society? What is formality-oriented society? So the world is basically divided into two. One is Western society, another one is Eastern society. West is a formality-oriented society, whereas East is solidarity-oriented. So Indians, Pakistanis, Malaysia, all people, even Middle East, we are considered as Asians, and we are solidarity-oriented society. What is solidarity-oriented society, or what is formality-oriented society? So you can take a couple of 2 minutes to read this. What is a solidarity-oriented society? What is formality-oriented society? So I told you in the beginning, it is going to be an interactive session, and you are part of the presentation. Be active. So tell me when you finish reading so that I can continue with my discussion. Okay, I think you have some idea about what is a formality-oriented society and what is a solidarity-oriented society. In formality-oriented society, individuals are at the forefront, whereas in a solidarity-oriented society, the society as a whole is predominant, and you cannot do anything that will go against the collective social, cultural existence of that particular society. So these are all, especially marriage, language, the use, and how, look at the point number 5. One man earns, the whole family lives on his income. Whereas in a formality-oriented society, earnings are individual. It is crucial to enjoying your personal life. So they don't say that. Whereas here we say that a person earns, it is crucial for providing for the family, here enjoying personal life. Then also marriage, that is also very important. Marriage is a social choice and a social function. No one can discuss, getting married is one's own individual choice. And I need not elaborate on this. As teachers, you can understand the implications of these statements given here. Okay, what is culture shock and how it affects communication and relationship in society? So culture shock is that, for example, if a solidarity-oriented, a man or woman from a solidarity-oriented society goes to a formality-oriented society, because in a localized world, we migrate a lot for jobs, for education, for business. We travel a lot from one country to another country, one continent to other country, from west to east, east to west. So what happens here is that when a solidarity-oriented person from solidarity-oriented society, he moves to a formality-oriented society, what happens is that if he finds something different from his original culture there, it will be a shock for him. It is the other way around for the people from the formality-oriented culture, especially when Westerners come to India and look at the cultural aspects that surround marriage between two people. It is a shock for them, because in their culture, that is a personal thing. Here, it is a social thing. So another example, I can cite some of my personal examples, which I had. For example, when I came to Oman and I was invited to a party which was organized by some of my Omani friends. When I went to the party, and they served a large plate full of meat covered with rice. And 6 to 8 people sat together around the plate, started eating from the same plate using their hands. And for a couple of minutes, I don't know what to do actually. I have never used to this practice, but culturally it is very important for Arabs to eat together. And if you refuse to eat with them, that is a very big insult to them. So therefore I started eating. So I was looking right and left, and I started eating the rice and the meat. And the meat was a large chunk of goat cooked very well. And you have to take small pieces, chunks of meat from that and mix with rice, and you have to feed yourself. So this was a cultural shock for me. This is one important thing I noticed that. So had I known about their culture, this would never shock me. So this will not be a shock for me. So therefore it is important to know the cultural aspects of societies around the world. So similarly, another shock was that one of my Western friends one day, just before the closure of the college, he told me, this summer vacation, I am going to Thailand and my wife is going to Nepal. Now it was a cultural shock for me. Can you think about an Indian think about himself going to another country and his wife going to another country for vacation? Most of the travel takes place, husband and wife travel together, unless and otherwise there is a need to travel alone for work or seminars and conferences, isn't it? So this was also a cultural shock, mommy. Similarly, I can give you hundreds of examples about cultural shock. Hope you got it now. Brown and Livingston face saving view of politeness with special reference to power principle, again to theory, politeness. So politeness is a very important aspect of a social as well as cultural as well as language aspect. Then power and face management are essential dimensions of all interpersonal interactions. Also, Western Zimmerman's concept of participant identities, these three things are very important. I'm going to explain that in next slides. So politeness, power and face, and participant identities. Now let us see. Based on the considerations of who speaks to whom, when, where, how, and why, in a variety of contexts, including social contexts, this presentation examines a wide range of discourse in diverse interpersonal relationships from my social media platforms. So I'm going to use examples from my social media platforms. I think one Aki PS, please switch off your camera. It is a disturbance to me. Thank you. So this presentation, the purpose of this presentation is to examine how people use language and in what context, what are the diverse tactics they employ in order to communicate effectively. And I'm going to analyze examples from social media platform. So the presentation is also an attempt to present an intensive assessment of how people manage their discourse behavior with respect to their social cultural backgrounds and interactive goals at the time of talk and conversation, whether it is in personal life, face-to-face communication, or it is by virtual communication. In other words, the selected stories and discourses are analyzed in the context of our culture from the point of view that places socio-cultural concerns in the foreground. So I have taken many stories from my own social media platforms in order to highlight how these things are happening in the society. What is face? So let us understand basically, the pragmatics of sociocultural theories. So the face is something that is emotionally invested by every competent member of society, and that can be lost, maintained, or enhanced, and must be constantly attended to in an interaction. So self-esteem is what called as face. So there can be face loss if somebody is hurting us, somebody is not accepting us, somebody is not collaborating with us, cooperating with us when we are in conversation. At the same time, when some people are accepting us, listening to us attentively, our face is enhanced. There are positive face and negative face. Positive face refers to positive face wants of being accepted, liked, approved by others. So if I am talking to you now, I want all of you to appreciate me and tell me at the end that I have done a good presentation. So this is a face want for my personality to be accepted, liked, and approved by others. What is negative face? At the same time, I have another face called negative face. Negative face is related to a negative face wants of being given freedom from imposition, freedom of choice, and freedom of options by others. So I don't want anybody to ask me a personal question in this presentation, because I have my own personal life different, my professional life is different. I am here as a presenter trying to communicate certain things in a formal position in order to fulfill the requirement of participating in a FDP as a resource person. So here you cannot ask any personal question. If you are asking a personal question, you are affecting my negative face. And face threatening act, neglect, dislike, disapproval. If you are talking, somebody is neglecting your talk. Somebody is showing some sort of disapproval on the face. And somebody is asking a personal question in a formal forum, then it is a face threatening act. Face saving act, taking efforts to mitigate the face loss. So for example, when I am talking to a friend, he's not listening to me. He's meditating on something else. Suddenly I wake him up and ask him, what is happening to you? Are you listening to me? When he says, I'm sorry, suddenly I had some other thought, then it is a mitigating act. So he's trying to save my face. So power, what is power? How do people exercise power? Why do people exercise power? So, this also have to give you a few examples in order to explain this. Power is, for example, today in my position, maybe there are many participants who are deans, senior professors, head of the departments from the universities, and principals attending this function or this program actually. So what is that? Who is more powerful here? In this position, I am more powerful because I am the invited speaker. I am the guest. So I can exercise my power because I am in a powerful position, socially sanctioned power. This is because as a speaker, others listen to me quietly. When I say, when I ask you to do something, you do because I am in a powerful position. But tomorrow, I cannot exercise the same power with any one of you because tomorrow I am no more a resource person here with you. I am another person, another person who has an equal right like you. So we have different way of exercising power at different places and different circumstances. That is what is meant by power. And what are the identities in society, especially solidarity-oriented society? There are three identities. One is master identities. They are permanent identities. The relationship between father and son. So the father plays a master identity, it is permanent. And so between husband and wife, the husband has a dominant master identity in solidarity-oriented society, whereas in a formality-oriented society, you cannot claim that. Situated identities, which I mentioned, the situation of giving a webinar today, I am having a master identity. So I am having a dominant identity, whereas you are having a less dominant identity. Dialogic identity is that in a particular scenario, you dominate others by your dialogic power, your efficiency or abilities to speak, you dominate, then it becomes a dialogic identity. You get that identity in that particular place because you are able to talk and establish your identity through your dialogue. Now, again, power is analyzed in three ways: age and face management. In solidarity-oriented society, age has more power. And whenever you meet somebody of your, you meet some elders, you have to respect them. There, sometimes the elders ask you a question. It may be a threat to your face, but you cannot react because age is dominant there. Then gender and face management. So how the principles of power is exercised between genders, male and female gender, who dominates and depending on the situation. Power principle of social class and phase management. It is related to very much related to Indian society where social classes and power management, dominant class, subordinate class. So whoever is dominating, depending on that, the power distribution takes place in the society. Now let me come to social media. So what is social media? Social media is as complicated as human life. So it follows this. Social media can tell us a lot about human life and especially about life in a new technological age. So what is happening in our life also is happening in social media. If there is social unrest, there is social unrest in social media discussions. If there is harmony in social media. If there is happiness, that is reflected in social media. If there is a problem in the society, that is also reflected in. So it is like a mirror reflecting our social life. How we express ourselves both reflect and affects who we are, and the interplay of networks, individual characteristics, and technology characteristics can help us understand what is going on online and in our relationship. So it is really connected, online, offline relationship. We can find out how social media affects those relationships in our lives, relationships and our lives, our well-being. Social media can trouble us. It can really be a challenge for our well-being when you are overdoing it, when you become a social media addict. Then this is the mainstay background of my argument. Stories told on social media are very powerful and they can influence society in many ways. We can have healthy engagement with the society through social media stories. Maintaining social relationship helps us escape loneliness. Through social media, we can maintain a good relationship with family and friends. By following social media stories, we can enhance our language competence. So this is the last point is what I'm trying to reinforce. So trying to explain through the next slides and examples which I have taken from my own social media platforms. Now, before that, few questions we need to have. What are the effects of social media today? And you can just think about and find answers for these questions in your mind. Do you think it is worth sharing your stories on social media? Do you think social media make relationships stronger or it breaks a relationship? Do people agree social media helps us in our social well-being? Why is social media very important? Are there any negative effects of social media in our relationships? So these are it is a kind of personal analysis. You can think and reflect and find the answers for yourself. Now let me go to the practical part of my presentation. I'm going to take a few examples from my Facebook. Now this is something related to provocation, politeness, and power, how people exercise power in a social context. This is posting from one of my friends, and it created a lot of bad blood, negative arguments. You all are aware of this Me Too movement, which happened and which is happening in different parts of the world over time. So let me read, and you can also read. I too have, a friend of mine who is a lecturer from one of the colleges in Kerala posted this. I'm not referring to the name, so I use as a woman one, man two. I too have experienced crawling fingers and dirty glances on my body, especially when in a crowd or traveling by bus. Many a times I used safety pin as weapon. Many a times I felt undressed by male gazes. The story continues. Why? Do all women have a single identity as a female body? Don't we have a heart, soul, brain, and individuality other than being body parts? Those who have experienced it all over the world, let us voice out, let us keep fighting. A very powerful statement, isn't it? Now, let us see the reactions. So this is from another lecturer friend of us immediately. He reacted negatively or counter-reacted. To whom you are raising these very degenerative words? I have instanced that adolescent girls who jump into closely packed buses. There was no complaint among them as it was a give and take experience. It was a mere skin-to-skin touching only. So there was a spelling mistake. You women, who are involved in women's liberation. Indicating is not a correct word actually. Indicating or narrate as skin to muscle. You promoters are sickeningly and indicate you with an emotional immaturity. What the hell you think about man and his male instincts? Don't generalize. There would have exceptions. Very aggressive language, isn't it? So she presented a problem. Maybe it is that problem is very intense and emotional for her. And it's a general statement, whereas this is a personal attack directed towards her. Then he continues, the same man. There are many instances of men being tortured and denuded by Amazons and virago, shabby, loud-mouthed ladies. You know, look at the language, aggressive, very abusive language. So social media. Just my question here is, do you approve of this kind of language? Leave alone the fight between the sexes, somebody in a social media. That's why I tell you, it is important to include social media stories in our classrooms in order to enhance the communicative capabilities of our students and to help them to communicate in a proper way in social media. So mutual respect is important. Okay, you can go ahead to giving your thing. Now, let me go to the next part. There is another man. He is giving an example, explanation. You are so cute. That is why you are facing the same fighting against such things. Is essential anyway. It is highly appreciated. So if I am cute, can I touch me? Is it an excuse for touching me? You know, like it's a stupid of him to comment like that. Okay. So what do you mean by that, mister? I face such situations because I look cute. Shame on you. It is her reaction. Then all are facing the same situation you have to react for. I do not think it is a shame on my part, madam. If it is forbidden, you have to file a complaint. That is best remedy for you. I just told you that you are cute. That is a real thing. And I find when he doesn't understand that this woman has become very angry. She is reacting, yet he is continuing. You know, this is another thing I have seen in social media. People don't understand what is happening. They don't properly read the previous sentence or previous dialogue and don't analyze, and they continue harping on whatever they want to say. I have come across similar situation in my webinars. One person will ask, please, sir, please share your PPT. Then another 20 people will say the same thing. And one person will ask, when are you sharing the feedback form, feedback link? And 20 people will continue to, okay, one person has said it. That means the administrators or who are the organizers, they will notice and respond. They don't wait, continuously. Social media, this is a problem. I do, you do, everyone is doing. So what I am trying to do here is to give you an example how a language is used, how people don't read what exactly is being said and understand and react. So this is one point is very important. You read and understand, assimilate, then react. Just simply don't continue to react. This is something our students need to learn. And this went on for 3 days and it was a non-stop discussion. I was a bit embarrassed because this was happening among friends. And the Facebook, most of us are teachers, college teachers. So that's the fun. Now, what I did was I tried to mitigate the situation by posting this. So that was the end of it. People stopped after that. I don't know whether for the information I discussed or for the respect or they became tired, but the discussion stopped then and there. So it is unfortunate that such a delicate discussions are being continued in 21st century in our country, especially in India. So the core of the issue lies in the deep-rooted hypocrisy embedded in our society for hundreds of years. Definitely, if you study social anthropology of Indian culture, you'll understand this, how hypocrisy plays an important role. Then also, I told my experience. I live in an Arab society since 2005, migrated from Mahi and teaching in a college where 5,000 boys and girls study. All these years, I haven't even seen a case of verbal teasing between them in the campus, and same in the case outside. Same is the case outside. Women are well treated and it's part of Arab tribal culture. I am comparing this. Having experienced such a difference across the ocean, I feel there is no easy solution to this issue in our society, in Indian society. Probably one way of solving this issue is the role mothers play in the family, wherein the mothers teach their young boys how to respect and deal with other girls, women, both indoors and outdoors. Also, I give a personal testimony also. This is also very important. As a teacher, you can give a lot of personal testimony to your students. I have seen this working with my 18-year-old son. Then he was 18 and feel this will work with my other boys too, and wait for the younger generation to understand the delicate balance between the sexes and forge a healthy relationship and lifestyle. Leave the other older ones to die and rot. Why I made that statement? Because of the traditional behavior patterns advocated by older people in the society. I don't have anything personally against older people. Next to mothers, we the teachers can do a lot of mitigating the situation if we take appropriate steps. I mentioned this, we the teachers, we have a responsibility in the society. So in order to make these people shut their mouth. So now you can see in a social media, how a person can mitigate and balance the arguments, when something is going out of hand, something very negative and very derogatory discussions are going on. Now I take one example from literature. So this is a ridiculing, arguing and convincing discourse, from a suitable boy. Now this is the group of friends, 2-3 Hindus, 1 Brahmin, and Muslim friends. They are joined together and they are discussing about something very important. And finally, one person is checking the palm of another person. Vajpayee knows how to read palms, and he's reading the palm of Khomer, and he's telling, Khomer is a Muslim participants in the dialogic situation. One wife, some wealth, as for the line of wisdom, he's trying to tell, reading the palm, predicting his future. Then immediately Man is the dominant character there, well-respected son of a minister. It seems not to exist. Very funny, isn't it? As for the line of wisdom, it seems not to exist. So he is contributing in a friendly discussion. Then Vajpayee saying the line of life is not very favorable. That means you are going to die young. So he was a little bit annoyed when somebody talks about life, Ayush Rega. When you say that it is very short, then it is an annoying thing, isn't it? Now, Homer reacts, all bogus, all bogus. And these things are bogus. Palm reading is not something true. Then Kishore Babu, another Hindu participant, you should not say so, Master Sahib. It is quite scientific, palmistry and astrology too. Otherwise, why should the stars be where they are? Now he's trying to say that it is scientific and we cannot say it is bogus. It is a counter argument. Then again, commerce say everything is scientific for you, even the caste system, even worshipping the linga and other disgusting things, and singing bhajans to the adulterer, that teaser of woman, that thief Krishna. It is going to become very serious, from palmistry to religion, gods and goddesses, isn't it? So then next, Kishore Babu, you see Homer Bhai, it is like this. It is not these images we worship, they are only points of concentration. Now tell me, why do you turn towards Mecca when you pray? It is a counter insult. No one would say that you are worshipping that stone. And with Lord Krishna, we do not think of him in those terms. We don't think Lord Krishna is a womanizer. Now it is continuing. Finally, Kamar is once again, Man is silent all this time. He's trying to include him in the dialogue in support of them. But he's playing a mitigating role. He says that what I think is, it is entirely a matter of chance that Kishore Babu was born in a Hindu family and you, Master Sahib, in a Muslim one. I have no doubt that if you had been exchanged after birth or before birth or even before conception, you would have been praising Krishnaji and he the prophet. No, he says that it is a chance, by chance you become a Hindu or Muslim. There's no point in discussing these kind of things, a mitigating effect. Now, how many of you think that such a dialogue can happen in our society today? And they were all friends. See how a group of people discuss something very sensitive, yet there is one person in the society, in the group, who is trying to mitigate, trying to instill sense in them in making understand. Oh, this is taken from A Suitable Boy. It is in page number 662 to 663. So why I took this is that we find a lot of parallels, what is happening in social media as well as what is there in the literature. But today one has to be careful. This is okay in a book, these kind of discussions reflecting society, but you can't have a similar discussion, very derogatory discussion on social media. Then this is something very important, telling a single story. All over the world today, people try to advocate a single story. This is very important. And I would show you a video. And after that, I shall come to the discussion. I hope you all know this writer.
I'm a storyteller, and I would like to tell you a few personal stories about what I like to call the danger of the single story. I grew up on a university campus in eastern Nigeria. My mother says that I started reading at the age of 2, although I think 4 is probably close to the truth. So I was an early reader, and what I read were British and American children's books. I was also an early writer. And when I began to write at about the age of 7, stories in pencil with crayon illustrations that my poor mother was obligated to read, I wrote exactly the kinds of stories I was reading. All my characters were white and blue-eyed. They played in the snow. They ate apples. And they talked a lot about the weather, how lovely it was that the sun had come out. Now, this despite the fact that I lived in Nigeria, had never been outside Nigeria. We didn't have snow, we ate mangoes, and we never talked about the weather because there was no need to. My characters also drank a lot of ginger beer because the characters in the British books I read drank ginger beer. Never mind that I had no idea what ginger beer was. And for many years afterwards, I would have a desperate desire to taste ginger beer. But that is another story. What this demonstrates, I think, is how impressionable and vulnerable we are in the face of a story, particularly as children. Because all I had read were books in which characters were foreign, I had become convinced that books, by their very nature, had to have foreigners in them and had to be about things with which I could not personally identify. Now, things changed when I discovered African books. There weren't many of them available, and they weren't quite as easy to find as the foreign books, but because of writers like Chinua Achebe and Kamara Laye, I went through a mental shift in my perception of literature. I realized that people like me, girls with skin the color of chocolate, whose kinky hair could not form ponytails, could also exist in literature. I started to write about things I recognized. Now, I loved those American and British books I read. They stirred my imagination, they opened up new worlds for me. But the unintended consequence was that I did not know that people like me could exist in literature. So what the discovery of African writers did for me was this: it saved me from having a single story of what books are. I come from a conventional middle-class Nigerian family. My father was a professor. My mother was an administrator. And so we had, as was the norm, live-in domestic help who would often come from nearby rural villages. So the year I turned 8, we got a new houseboy. His name was Fide. The only thing my mother told us about him was that his family was very poor. My mother sent yams and rice and our old clothes to his family. And when I didn't finish my dinner, my mother would say, "Finish your food. Don't you know people like Fide's family have nothing?" So I felt enormous pity for Fide's family. Then one Saturday, we went to his village to visit. And his mother showed us a beautifully patterned basket made of dyed raffia that his brother had made. I was startled. It had not occurred to me that anybody in his family could actually make something. All I had heard about them was how poor they were, so that it had become impossible for me to see them as anything else but poor. Their poverty was my single story of them. Years later, I thought about this when I left Nigeria to go
So that's a very long video of 18, 19 minutes. But we have seen whatever is necessary for understanding the presentation. Now, telling a single story, this is what I would like to point out. In most of the social media, televisions and things like that, people are trying to tell a single story. Now, one example of a discussion I had with a couple of friends in social media about terrorism. And I would like to take that as an example here, how a single story is being developed in Indian society, not only in Indian society, all over the world. Now, this is a friend of mine who replied to my earlier comment. True and to be accepted, if you skim through the newspapers in any language in the world, terrorism were carried only from the people of Islam community. No Ram or Joseph was part of it, so it is dangerous. Now he included my Joseph as a name because I am a Christian. He thought I would support his arguments. And this is a kind of game people play in social media also. Try to identify you and try to, keep you with them in order to present some sort of a single story against one community or one language or one particular country. This is happening all over the world. It is part of world politics. Then I replied, and all the weapons used by the terrorists all over the world are produced and sold to terrorists by Christian countries in the world. What a beautiful dichotomy. That is what is a contradiction. Because I wanted to say that this single story is not correct. There is another part of the story. So if you are using a weapon, the person who has made the weapon is also equally responsible. For him, it is business. For you, it is terrorism. So these kind of arguments, we should, be very, very aware of as teachers. Particularly, very important for us to understand both the sides of the stories. You shouldn't have only one single focus about the stories. Now, this is again, how a language, aggressive and abusive use of language is very important in society. We all think that when we train our children, we always, when a child is using a very abusive language, immediately you reprimand the child, saying that, why did you learn this from? And you reprimand the child. But my argument is that, in society, sometimes aggressive, abusive, very vulgar language is also required to handle situation. This is an example from A Suitable Boy. Again, this is a second literature example I'm quoting here. And I shall give you the background. Man is coming with his friend, who is a Muslim, from a program. And on the road, they meet a murderous crowd. They were trying to kill Muslims. And this is a very difficult, very dangerous situation. And how man is trying to bring him out using aggressive, abusive language. So it starts like this. A man from the crowd is saying, the other is a Muslim. Why would he be dressed like that? Another man in the crowd, kill the cruel, cow murdering, Harmasda, cut, a very abusive language. Then also, man immediately identify a person there in the gang. So he is telling, what are you doing here? You are a teacher. What are you doing here in this gang? Aren't you ashamed of yourself? You are supposed to be a teacher. So he shut up his mouth and the dialogue continues. I'm just skipping some part because for want of time. So in the final part, you see he's using a very aggressive language, man. So he says, you mother folk, do you know that what day this is? This man is my brother, more than my brother. And today in our neighborhood, we are celebrating Bharat Mila. If you harm one hair of my brother's head, if even one hair of his head is harmed, Lord Rama will seize your filthy soul and send it flaming into hell. And you will be born in your next life as a filthy crite you are. Go home, lick up your own blood, you sister folk. Before I break your neck, he wrenched the young man's lathi from his grasp and pushed him into the crowd. And he protected his Muslim friend and went home. This is a very situation in society. You cannot be always goody-goody and use only very polite language. At times, you have to use very aggressive, abusive language in order to protect your property, protect your family, protect your friends, and sometimes to protect your own self. So this is also part of social pragmatics means this. So understanding all aspects of language. So this is another story posted by one of my friends who is working in Afghanistan. He wrote a story about his father who was dead some 37 years before. And when this story was posted, next day when I went to the class, I used this story in the class and made them reflect and write a long paragraph about their parents. Now, he was talking about his father and how he remembers his father. His father was dead when he was 14. He was a judge in Mahbubnagar High Court, Mahbubnagar District Court. And he died at a young age of heart attack. Then he was a man of principles, a profile reader, prolific reader, learner, jurist, and more than anything, a very simple humanist. Look at the word he's using. He's a humanist. And also his achievements. In 1983, for a few weeks before his tragic death, he delivered first judgment in vernacular language in Telugu. So when some challenges come to us, he used to say, don't seek help from others if you can solve it. These are all life lessons he learned from his father. He was the simplest man I have ever seen. I heard him saying it's very simple to be happy, but it's very difficult to be simple. And he talks about his family. I printed this and circulated in the class and asked the students to read that and write about their father and mother. And one student called me aside and said, sir, I cannot write this paragraph. I asked, why? So this paragraph talks about his memories about his father. I don't have any memories about my father. I said, what the hell are you saying? He says, my father is alive. I am living with him. So I will have memories of my father only after I am dead. I said, oh, right. So see how students react to situations. One have to be very alert. I said, you're right about your experience with your father or mother. Then not only that, see, also I have to inculcate thinking and critical thinking through my lessons. Not only communicative competencies need to be developed, but also their critical thinking ability. So I gave an extension homework for them also, that next day they were supposed to bring me a paragraph about me as a father or me as a mother. When I am a parent, how I would be, it involves a lot of thinking. So this is how social media stories can be used in your classroom. Now look at this. This is one of my postings. Can you read this? Why do you like trust and respect who do you like, trust and respect? An uneducated, simple, straight, consistent person, or an educated, boastful, arrogant, inconsistent person? Here I want you to give me an answer. What person you like? Whether educated person who is inconsistent. So I wanted to find out how people react to this. What are their ideas? Now you can tell me, you can continue in the chat box. What do you think? First one, can you tell me why? Why? What is the reason? In order to give a reason, you need to understand the word inconsistency, boastful, arrogant. When you are using this with your students, simple, consistent, yes. So if one person is consistent, that other person uneducated, but he is consistent. Both are useless. Why? So he's a good person. Education is not limited to schooling. Very good. Yeah. BG Elango, consistency of the first person is predictable. Very good. So the other person is unpredictable. Simple and straight. Very good. So these are the comments I got, some of the prominent comments. And I find one of my students from Mahbubnagar, he wrote, when I was a kid, I used to admire educated people, but now I realized well-mannered people are better than well-educated people. Why I showed this is that, you can have a class page on Facebook, give these kind of statements and ask them to react. And ask them to tell them to write answers in full sentence, try to write grammatically correct English and share. One advantage of this is that, when they read the previous comments, they will learn to use words, they will understand how these people have reacted. All these things will help them to enhance or improve their language, especially their writing, their thinking and understanding of any issues that are discussed. Now, next comes a posting from one of my friends. He posted one of the very crucial issues that are there in the society. In most countries, female teachers are preferred to male teachers at primary, whatever it is. And look at the question here. Can we conclude that men are intellectually superior to women? Because in primary schools, see in Western schools and colleges, men are appointed in large numbers in primary schools, whereas women are appointed in large numbers in Indian context. Now, one reply was very beautiful, very analytical, and refuting his claims. So this is how we should develop our students to argue or counter-argue, present their arguments in writing. Sir, it has nothing to do with female and male intelligence. It is a simple concept of economics and the demand and supply side of labor. In India, women are not seen as the primary breadwinner, but the supplementary earner. Also in India, women are associated with the role of being home caretakers, especially. So this is, she's presenting a very, very nice argument. Then finally, she says that, hence it has nothing to do with men being more intelligent, nor with the fact that women can take care of primary kids better, because even men can be good parents and nurturers of tiny kids. So this stereotyping is not very good. So one has to understand the reason for employing women is not their intelligence or anything. It is more of convenience. So this is also very important to these stories. Then when there was a discussion on Ayodhya verdict, and I had a heated argument with the same person, Dr. Albert. He said if Ayodhya verdict is seen as an achievement by someone, it is of no use arguing with the person. My education background, association with those who look at things critically, make me look at issues differently. It is not possible to think with the heart and feel with the mind. So I suggested that, and he has reacted. Then I wrote a very long argument saying that, the term critical thinking, I gave an explanation of my own, means there are numerous options of interpreting something rather than coming to a particular conclusion. It also means that keep your emotions under control when you think critically. This is something very, very important. It's same for all. Our education and association with people as well as our view of the world will guide us to think differently. I too feel that no one need to teach others how to look at things. If all think alike, there will not be any progress in human society. People look at things depending on their individual abilities, education, background, and understanding. It need not always synchronize with another person's views and approaches. Moreover, when we discuss social issues, we need not be judgmental always. Rather, we try to understand that there are people who think differently from us and accept them and respect their views also as part of the truth, if not absolute truth. This is how one has to understand and accept how things are going on in the society. And this is the next thing is netiquettes. This is also very important to teach netiquettes, how one should behave. Etiquettes, what is in the society, netiquettes is in the social forum. Now, these are the list of netiquettes one should follow. There are hundreds of them in the internet. How do you teach them? If you go and tell your students in the class that netiquettes are very important, these are the things you should follow, I don't think they will do that. Instead, if you give it as a form of a class assignment or a task, if you can ask them to make an assignment out of it or prepare a PowerPoint presentation, making a poster, or provide various links to students and ask them to collect information on netiquettes, and have class debate on the topic. It is essential to follow certain etiquette. So you can have a debate. Is it essential to follow certain etiquette or not while one is using social media? Or you can ask students to write and extend it to a writing activity, argumentative essay. Is it essential to follow netiquettes online? Is it not crucial to comply with netiquettes online? It's important. Students should know because social media is part and parcel of their life. Now look at a poster making. You can ask students to use these 10 points to make posters and display it in the class. And you can even give a couple of chocolates to the students who have made the best poster. Now I'm coming to the next part. This is WhatsApp abbreviations. WhatsApp also, a lot of abbreviations are used. One can write a beautiful PhD thesis on WhatsApp abbreviations, how it is used, what are the implications, what are the effects. You can have a very good data-driven research. Now I can tell you recently, one of my friends, Dr. Ramya, posted a poem on her Facebook page, and I read it, and recycling the broken heart was the title. Then after reading the poem, I was a little bit curious to know what made her write this poem and what is the core theme. I immediately messaged her and she sent me this reply. The poem is about a woman who is torn by inner war due to a breakup. The pleasant memories push to her to rebuild the relationship, though the fault is not on her. Since there is no response from the other side, she entered the world of chaos. She tried to understand and let it go, yet she felt it difficult. In her loneliness, the body, mind, and the soul became one, and the spirit spoke, which made all the other unnecessary noises to fly away. Thus, she got transformed and transported to something permanent. This another option to fly made her finally bid him goodbye. So there was a broken relationship. She is trying to convert that into a creative opportunity and writing poems. Why I included this is you can ask the students whenever they find something like this, a poem, a short story written by someone displayed or given in a social media platform. You can ask the students to write those people and find out what does that exactly they mean. This also enhances communication and develop their language abilities. Now, WhatsApp is very good for crisis management also. This picture was taken 5-6 years back. I don't know who took the picture. It was later given to me by, shared by one of my students from Kerala. Now, what do you think? This picture from this picture, do you think it is a happy occasion or a sad occasion? Whether it portrays a happy occasion or a sad occasion? Sad occasion. Okay. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. There was a traffic accident where Indian school Niswa students were involved. One teacher was killed along with 5 students, and 2 drivers were killed. More than 30 kids were injured and they were admitted. We were standing in front of the government hospital. The person on the right is Dr. Ayub. I think presently he is the principal of Farooq College in Calicut. And on the left with the hand raising is one Mr. Nair. And I am there in the middle with a list of volunteers who are volunteering to give blood samples. Why I included this is that, there is a story behind this actually. The story is that we were searching frantically for blood donors, and we wanted to get one particular blood group which was not available with the donors which we were having. So we sent up WhatsApp messages, and after a few minutes, we got a phone call from a Pakistani truck driver who was driving through Niswa from Saudi Arabia. He called us and told us in Urdu that he's driving towards Niswa. In another 45 minutes, he will reach the place near the hospital. The highway is right in front of the hospital. I can come and give my blood. Then we waited. He came and he went to the hospital mosque, freshened up and gave blood. And he visited the child and he touched the head and the child and said, Allah bless you. I'm very happy Allah gave me an opportunity to help this child. All these children are Indian students, Indian children. I look at a Pakistani who was a truck driver who was on the way from a long drive coming and giving his blood. So this is as against a single story. This is a story of pluralistic approach where human beings are humans everywhere. That is why I use this particular thing. So it is also, WhatsApp is very good for crisis management. Also, I have to tell, so Pakistanis or whoever it is, they are not enemies. They are our friends. We can interact with them. And this is also another example from WhatsApp, which is shared. It is mimicking Arvind Goswami, who gets angry and shouting at the people. Now, this is a farmer he is interviewing. It is a parody. Now he's asking the farmer, what do you feed the goats? He says the white one or the black one. He says the white one. The farmer says the grass. The black one, that also grass. Why do you tie up your goats? The farmer again asks, the white one or the black one? The white one, inside the barn. The black one. Okay, that is also inside the barn. With what do you wash your goats? The farmer again asks him, the white one or the black one? The farmer says the white one. With the water. Again, Then Goswami asking him, The black one, what do you wash with that? That also with water. Arnab becomes very angry. Bloody fellow, if you are doing the same thing for the goats, why are you repeatedly asking me white or black? Now he replies very coolly, because the white goat is mine and the black goat is also, and the black goat, that is also mine. Arnab Goswami faints after he regains consciousness. The farmer explains, now do you know how we feel when your TV channel shows the same news, twisting and turning it? Now this is a kind of parody on what is happening in the TV. Now I can skip some of the slides in want of time. I'll go to the very important ones. Now this is a WhatsApp criticism on webinars. This is also shared by one of my friends. That friend, I invited that friend to give a webinar. After that friend gave the webinar, the next day this posting came. After reading that, that friend called me and said, hereafter I will not do any webinar. Because, this was very a negative comment about webinar. This was written by one of the university professors in the South who has given more than 10 webinars, I guess. So this is against the monopoly of people, he is annoyed because people, their monopoly in giving lectures in seminars, conferences is being threatened by this new medium of webinars. And many people get opportunities. So he says that inviting mutual friends for webinars, just like you invite your chat for, like you invite chat, you are inviting your friends. And it is easy catching resource persons as everyone wants to reach out and escape virtually from the corona house arrest. So any Tom and Dick and Harry can give webinar. It is not correct, he is arguing. And he says that he signed up for a few webinars and he had an uncontrollable laughter or a drowsy numbness. This is also something he discusses. Then he says that also he mentions that there are many troubles. He has not learned anything particularly enlightening from these academic sessions. Also, if at all I know the present day, sometimes I attended just to please my friend. Now he says that they are free but rarely academic useful. In a mad rush to capture the locked-in home academicians, some webinars are not well prepared and turned out to be fiascos. Maybe it is correct. How many of us can say we were in slicing vegetables, cooking, or listening to music while a webinar was running on screen? How genuine were you towards it? This is also a very nice question he is asking. Now, he is coming to the crux of the matter. While it is happy to democratize resources by delivering lectures free of cost, anything that is provided free of cost is viewed with less seriousness and lacks accountability and responsibility. Now, I really contest that. I don't think so. Anything given free, education. So, at a young stage in my schools, I got education, free education. And I never took it less seriously. So this is something, again, he advocates that every person should be paid honorarium for and this is also a discussion which was, which was very irresponsible on the part of a senior professor working in a very famous university, commenting like this. So what he should have done is, he can list out the issues or challenges in the webinars. If had he suggested ways and means to improve it, it would have been a very nice article. It was 806 words posted in WhatsApp. That's why I took it just for a kind of discussion here. So when we are giving discussing some issues or some stories in the social media, we should be responsible. We should discuss both sides. It is not only telling this single story, but discuss various aspects, also give suggestions to improve things. Now look at this picture. Yesterday I received from one of my friends suggesting that I include this in my presentation. Now I got, a picture is worth 1,000 words. You can take this picture and use it in the class. Ask students to write a paragraph or, for a vocabulary exercise like that. And the same picture I received from another friend of mine yesterday. I included that also. Look at what the boy is doing. What is he supposed? He's discussing a very socially important issue. The child is supposed to play with kites, look at animals, look at sun and nature. He is supposed to enjoy. Then there are Instagram stories also. Here I have given an Instagram story. This I Love Siliguri is one of the very favorite Instagram page I follow. They discuss a lot of social issues. This is about the kites killing birds. And if you come across such a story, what you can do is you can copy the chat and display in the classroom. Ask the students to continue to discuss this issue. So social issues, discussion of social issues are very crucial in preparing our students to, prepare them for the social life once they come out of the colleges. Then also, if you come across a picture, Instagram pictures, most of the students post pictures without any captions. So the writing picture captions is an art. You can show such examples to the students and ask them to write a caption for the picture they are posting in social media, thereby enhancing their language use. So many important things also. Some of the, for rich people, this is a fashion, discussing a lot of social issues. And I would like to take 2 minutes in this. This is also a kind of Instagram discussion on one Sujatra Ghosh. He created a revolution by, making volunteer women wear a mask of a cowhead and protest. The relationship you can connect, In India, a lot of killings takes place because of the cow slaughter, whereas when a woman is raped, no one is there to take immediate action. These rape and sexual assault cases go on before the guilty are punished, whereas when a cow is slaughtered, religious extremist groups immediately go and initiate violence against whoever they suspect of slaughter. Often action precedes evidence, and mere suspicion is enough to unleash wild criminality in the name of religious motives. So this is also a discussion how very important socially relevant issues are brought in a very very light, very effective way through social media. Then this is another on Abhaya case, and they are asking one pertinent question. Pay particular attention to this. Okay, so he was below 18 and you can't punish him. Was my age perfect for a rape? How will you answer this? So these things, when you discuss in the class, the students will get a very good awareness about social issues. They will become bold to talk about it, and they will also learn how to communicate this very effectively without using aggressive, abusive language, without hurting anyone's sentiment. This is how it works. Another professional platform, this is the last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to introduce. You are all members, and I think many of the participants are my LinkedIn contacts. So I have around 3,200 members from all over the world. Most of them are teachers, professionals. Now, in this LinkedIn, you can create your own profile, and you can print it anytime. When somebody is asking for your profile, you can share it anytime. Just copy the link and share it. Now, a couple of years back, I got a message from one Miriam Barnaby, a teacher from Slovak Republic. She was asking me, may I ask you, would you be interested in making a self-made 3 minutes video for my students, telling us about anything from your culture life? I would use it for teaching English and multicultural diversities around the world. Many thanks in advance. Kind regards, Miriam. See, how I have not seen her. She is from another part of the world. How teachers can collaborate and cooperate and help each other to be better teachers and to engage our students in a very, very fruitful way. Now, LinkedIn also gives you a chance to highlight your or publish your papers. So this is one of the papers I published and I shared with LinkedIn contacts, and I got very good reviews from them. Some of them asked me for the whole article I shared with them. And also when you are doing a seminar or webinar and international participation, you can post that, and that will bring you a lot of invitations. Nowadays, I get many invitations through my LinkedIn contacts. Most of the invitation I got in India also through LinkedIn. And also LinkedIn Share is another social media platform where you can get notes for your teaching, earn a skimming made. So this will give a lot of PPT presentations. You can clip those slides and use it in the class. Not only that, you can also upload your slides. So this is one of the slides I uploaded after my Sultan Qaboos University presentation a couple of years back. So these are ways in which we can exploit social media. And now another question I have seen from Ms. Lalita's presentation, and from the question and answer session, someone has asked how to incorporate technology in our classes, because we work in rural areas. There are problems with internet connectivity and things like that. The only way to do that is to, find your own ways and means to do that, to improvise. Look at the picture there. A teacher is not having if you pay 200 rupees, you can buy a stand. Maybe he's not accessible to such a thing. He's tying it on a iron rod fixed in a concrete, kind of a slab or brick. And he's trying to telecast his lesson. So if you are including technology, you have to innovate, you have to improvise, and you have to, find ways to do that. Now let me conclude. And sorry for taking a little more time. Please be kind enough to stay calm for a couple of minutes. And if you have any pressing engagements, you can leave quietly. Human language is not just a means to exchange meaningful information from one person to another, but it also establishes human relationships. The use of language by nature is a social activity. When we use language, we disclose many things about ourselves to establish our relationship with others. Societies shape our language, and in turn, the language shapes societies. This is one of the pragmatic claims. The human communication functions and works on the social aspects related to who speaks to whom, when, in what language, in what manner, where, how, and for what purpose. So you all understand and follow it. In all contexts, the socio-linguistic aspects of power principle, solidarity principle, and face management play an influential role in determining the tone, tenor, and mode of communication. I recommend that the teachers and the content developers should equip students with the required kind of sociological, cultural, and historical knowledge to help them understand the events and language used and appreciate the discourse patterns in fiction and in real life. Why this is needed is you can avoid cultural shock. Had I known that how Arabs see it, it would not have been a cultural shock when they asked me to share the same plate. So cultural pragmatic knowledge is very, very important. It is important to encourage our students to understand sociocultural pragmatics of the countries they visit, at least minimum, are the cultural pragmatics of the world itself. What are the social practices in East and West? I recommend that the pragmatic aspects of the language use should be taught to students of literature to help them interpret literature without logical and cross-cultural errors, because they are studying Western literature from European countries translated in English. So they should not mix up with the cultural pragmatics. They should understand what are their cultural pragmatics, how it is different from our cultural pragmatics. That is why the story develops in that particular pragmatic setting, which will not synchronize with our setting. So stories from social media helps us to understand life in a better way. These are my conclusions. I raised some very important questions in the beginning. I'm answering them. Social media helps us to make our relationship stronger and establish social well-being. Social media can help sustain a well-balanced society through appropriate language use. If social media is practiced properly, we can avoid telling the single story. We can have a society which accepts all languages, all races, all cultures, all religion, and we can live in harmony as one entity. We are all humans at the end of the day. Social media can empower people at all social levels through communicative competence. With the diligence, common sense, and critical thinking, we can easily overcome the negative effects of social media. So these are the reference. I think now we can have some question answer session. And another 5 to 7 minutes. I'm sorry, I'm taking 10 minutes more than the allotted time.
Thank you for the wonderful session, sir. It was undoubtedly very beautiful and very interactive.
Thank you.
We'll now move to the Q&A. So we have questions coming up only now. I'll now pick one from YouTube.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Florali Inayan has posted this. Your discussion sparked an interest that I will pursue a discourse analysis on a particular social media topic or conversation. Can you suggest a particular theoretical framework that I can use?
Socio-pragmatic theories, face management and power, exercising of power and face management can be taken as one of the theoretical framework. And another framework is the use of abusive, aggressive language can be that particular social media's story borders on using aggressive, abusive language. You can use theories that talk about that. Mostly socio-pragmatic theories are very helpful in understanding the framework and to analyze the discourse.
You still have questions coming up, sir. Just give me a minute to...
You can wait, no problem.
Choose one.
And those who are in a hurry, they can leave. We can have, it is important to have more number of questions because this is a very challenging topic. And some of the things I discussed as are also slightly controversial, bordering controversy. And one question people normally ask is that, can we discuss politics and controversial topic in the society? Meanwhile, I'll explain this question because, students, we have to have a kind of a microcosm of what is happening in the society in the classroom. And political, whatever things, what all things that they experience in society need to be discussed in the class, be it politics, be it religion, be it social issues. It is important because if you keep them in a well-guarded atmosphere inside the classroom without any social influences and social discussion, what happens is that after graduation, after 5 years, 10 years of university education, they go into the society, they are baffled. They don't know how to deal with situations. So I have experienced this in Kerala. I was teaching in Mahi College. 3 political parties are very active in the college. Students were divided into 3 parties, AVP, KSU and SFI, Communist, BJP and Congress. They are very active and sometimes they used to involve in physical fights. We get into and resolve those issues. But later, today I see some of my students are doing very well in their professional life, very bold, very active, and they are very strong in Gulf countries, especially some of them are very successful businessmen and professionals. Whereas the counterparts in Tamil Nadu, especially I taught 3 years in St. Joseph's College, they were very mild and, they never had a chance to involve in politics. In life also, they are mild, they look after their life living, they are happy, but they are not socially very active. So it is very important to teach our students, involve our students in very progressive, very controversial discussions also. As teachers, we can manage. Okay, go ahead with the question.
We still have so many coming up, but not one, right? Okay, sir, we have a question. How to combat fake news in social media and use it in the right way to teach children?
Yeah, this is one very good question. Fake news is very dominating in social media. You can go to Google and verify the authenticity of that particular news. And you can, if one news is coming in one particular channel, for example, you get one news in Facebook, you can verify whether that news comes in another social media. For example, a couple of months back, I got fake news saying that a person who is well known to me is no more. He is dead. I was shocked. And his brother was working with me. He was a very famous person in Tamil Nadu. And his brother was the head of the department of my department. And night 1 o'clock, I got the message. I felt like calling him and asking him what happened. But next morning, I switched on Hindi TV and other TV channels, and I was waiting to know. There was nothing. Then I asked him. He said, I also got the fake news. My brother is safe and sound. Okay, so you shouldn't be in a hurry to react to anything that is coming to your social media, be WhatsApp or anything. You should allow some time to think, verify, then only you have to share. Similar way, you can deal with that. So being a little more patient, exercising your critical thinking, whether this would have happened. If it would have happened, it would be reported in other news channels, verify. After that, you react. Don't be in a hurry. Had I done that, in the middle of the night, called my boss and asked him, what happened to your brother? I'm so sorry. He would be sleeping, isn't it? I would have done a great blunder. So this is how we, using our thinking and patience. Any other questions?
Does the development of social media portals affect educational processes in schools and university?
Yes, it has made teaching a very, very challenging thing. You cannot be very, what shall I say, inactive. Teachers have to be very, very active in social media as well as in the society. And in order to teach the digital natives, the younger generation, we as digital immigrants, to play a lot of active role in the social media, read, understand, be part of social media. It is a very big challenge because you can't hold your student not more than 5 minutes. The span of attention is very less unless you look at my presentation. So how do I engage to the audience? I was shifting from video, discussion, some theories, some practical, a kind of amalgamation of all these things. You have to play a lot of gimmicks in order to satisfy the student need. Otherwise, you will be a failure. Maybe out of respect, they will keep quiet in your class, but you'll not have the kind of respect outside the class because you are not, catering to their real needs, real educational needs. So very, very challenging today.
Let me ask you another question from here, sir. One more. We'll finish off with that. If it's going too much.
Yes, yours.
So we were talking about how beautifully we can use social media to teach children the netiquette. So there are also kids who are underage using social media. So how do we get them to understand that it's not right for them, and just mark a line between them to not use, and if at all they want to use, how they can talk with parents about that?
Okay, so this is a very challenging question, but my question is, I have a counter question. Why shouldn't they use it? Now, right from young age, it is important for parents to include them in every social interaction they have. What people do is when they are using social media, Facebook or WhatsApp, when the children come near them, they will hide or they will not involve. I know one of my friends, the person who wrote the poem I discussed, Dr. Ramya, always she has her daughter with her and her picture, and they are together. When they are discussing, chatting with others, she discussed the information with her daughter. She's in 9th or 10th standard, I think. This is the way. I have seen people doing that. I have been doing that. I never hide any of my social media interaction. My Facebook is open to my family. And you take your children along with you. They will learn what are the positive ways of using social media. Now, I was saddened, recently one boy raped and killed a girl in Tamil Nadu. He was watching, I think a lot of sex videos from the father's mobile. And later he turned out to be a killer. And when the police arrested him, he told the police that this happened because my father used to watch this, and later I happened to see that he didn't close all the URLs. Whatever you do, that will reflect in your children. If you carry on with a positive way and include them in every aspect of your living, then there are no danger. If you are not doing that, if you are hiding, you are not incorporating, including, collaborating with your children, you cannot be a successful father in this age. And if you cut them out, they will go with friends and do the same thing. And if a friend is involved in a negative kind of learning in social media, that will come to him. If luckily he gets a student who is positively engaging in social media, he will get positive quality. So therefore, the only way is 24/7, they are with you, you are with them. Whatever you do things in such a careful way that won't affect your children, where you can be open. That is how you have to deal with that.
Beautiful perspective, sir. Thank you for that.
Okay. Thank you very much. And give me a minute. I thank all the organization and the participants for their patient listening. Also, I thank all my friends who have attended from Oman. Whenever I give presentations, I bring some of my own audience with me. So thank you very much for taking, and the audience from other parts of the world. Hope I have not hurt your sentiments or because some of the topics I discussed were very controversial, but I did it as a teacher. When I teach or when I discuss these social issues, my personality or my religion or my caste or my identity, personal identity is kept aside. So I come out and have very objective discussions. This is also very important for teachers, and teachers should be very objective. You are a different tribe or a different race as such. When you are in the classroom, you have no caste, you have no gender. Whether you are a male teacher or female teacher, you are a teacher. So you cannot deviate from that. If you have that kind of objectivity, any controversial topics can be discussed with students. Students will not misunderstand and will not counter argue and go against you. Rather, they will also learn from you how to argue objectively without putting so much emotion and animosity into the discussions. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. I wish you all a great day. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all your wonderful thoughts, sir. I thank you on behalf of the organizing committee and appreciate all the efforts and kindness you've put in for enriching the teaching fraternity around the world with your session today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye, sir. Now, dear participants, the link to share your attendance and feedback has been posted in the chat box. This link will be active for 1 hour from now, within which you'll have to fill your responses, after which it will be closed for accepting further responses. And we've got many questions about the quiz. Like mentioned during this closing of yesterday's second session, a mail will be sent to you with a link to answer the quiz, which is the final quiz that will provide you with a certificate. That will be shared to you today evening. And this quiz will be active for a day. Any questions can be mailed to englishlit@vetias.ac.in. The session will be terminated in a few minutes. Like always, you can leave the session after filling your feedback in the form, or you may copy the link and then leave the meeting. We'll meet you the valedictory session at 3 p.m. Indian Standard Time. That's 2 hours from now. Good afternoon and goodbye.